I was the eldest son and the next heir of the Perdium, uncontrollable by nature with a temperament so terrible that I pushed away those dear to me. I was a man driven by pleasure and the desires of my heart, with no understanding of the consequences it brought. But even so, even the softest clay doesn't stay that way forever. Life has a way of hardening it into steel, producing the absolute opposite and leaving no trace of the past. And now, before me, was the renowned #1 strongest knight of the North, Jurgen, on his knees, blood oozing down as life seemed to slip away with every passing second. "Do you like it?" I taunted. "How can a man who honed his skills and power accept being taken down by someone like me? Someone known as the useless eldest son of County Perdium?" I added that I knew all of his plans before they even manifested. Not only that, I also knew how many there were, who the spies were, and where the reinforcements were. I knew everything from the beginning. Jurgen didn't understand how I knew, as he had hidden his ace card well. Like a wild beast, he cried out my name, unable to accept the situation before him. I never knew my foot size, so I imprinted my boot onto his face. "Just die. I'll take the measurement later. Try invading as much as you want. It won't matter because all your plans are known to me."
Several days later.
But my reign didn't last much longer, as there's always a bigger creature. My blade was knocked out of my hands, my body aching all over. It seemed I had reached my limit as my wounds reopened, the pain piercing through me like a bolt of lightning. "So this is how it ends for you, Gilsan Perdium, the mighty mercenary king, and one among the 7 strongest men on the continent. But this will finally come to an end. This man is Idun, one among the 7 strongest noble knights in the continent. Any last words, mercenary king?" "First of all," I replied, "you look like a femboy. Shit, I thought they made boys into men. Guess you had Big J Epstein as your captain and Diddy as your trainer."
Damn!
"Even so, you disgusting people stopped me from my revenge. How insulting. Despite dying on your feet, I didn't expect the useless eldest son of the fallen County Perdium household to be such a menace at this level. You left home after your sister died." This caught me by surprise. I asked how he knew, considering he was from a different kingdom. "Of course I know, because I've worked my ass off for years to track you down. We are the ones who worked with the Delphine household to take you down, to bring your Perdium family down." This shocked me. I didn't expect other people to be working against my family besides the Delphine household. "There's no need to explain it further. You're already a dead man. Just accept your fate, Perdium." My body shook violently with rage and hatred. "I will never forgive you all. Let the world bear witness to my hate." This scene didn't seem to please Idun at all. He looked at me with disgust. And with a precise slash, he beheaded me. Red splattered everywhere. A year ago, in the Lithuania kingdom, I woke up, shocked by what had just happened. I was still alive, touching my neck. It didn't make sense. A while ago, I'd been decapitated by Idun, yet I was alive, my head still attached to my shoulders. Gilsan Perdium wondered if he was hallucinating. He seemed younger. Looking around, he wondered if he had been taken captive and was being used as a lab rat. "Young master," a voice called out from the tent, alerting Gilsan as a young man walked in. "Please, young master, I know you are awake." It was Perdium's soldier, Ricardo. Ricardo was terrified and shaken as a sword was held to his throat. "I'll let you leave if you answer my question," Gilsan said, oozing with immense bloodlust. "You may get out alive, or maybe not." Young master? Don't you think this is crossing the line? A no is a no. What's this guy's reaction? I'm threatening him right now. I'm a fucking mercenary king. The fuck you mean, nah, Gilsan was puzzled by the situation. Ricardo took the chance and freed himself, informing Gilsan that he must have been tired after throwing a tantrum, then later fell asleep. "What? I did?" Gilsan was surprised by Ricardo's words. "Did you forget everything? Just after having a nap, you were throwing a tantrum about how you were going to command the group against the orcs." Nothing made sense to Gilsan, as he wondered what kind of nonsense Ricardo was spouting. Ricardo didn't mind Gilsan's confusion.
He told him the soldiers were waiting, so he needed to pack his things. Still unaware of the situation and trying to understand what was happening, Gilsan listened as Ricardo, displeased and assuming he was faking, told him they were heading to the Perdium estate.
That word, one Gilson had long forgotten, shocked him. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. He told Ricardo to repeat his words because it all felt like a dream. Perdium, he uttered in a weak but shocked tone. Do you mean the fallen Perdium estate? As Gilson walked out of the tent and looked toward the Perdium estate, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was really there. He didn't understand how it still existed, as he remembered it becoming ashes back then. Did you have a terrible nightmare or something? Calling your household a fallen one could get you kicked out if the Count hears that. This has to be the last moments where your life flashes through your eyes before you die. I need to wake my stupid ass up. But with a sharp pinch, he felt pain and understood he wasn't visiting his ancestors. Everything felt real. Gilsan began to piece everything together. His young face, the Perdium estate in its original state. That could only mean one thing. He may have actually traveled back in time. Recalling how my younger self hated this household, I remembered the immaturity I developed from feeling inferior to others. It made me cause trouble, and as time passed, most people in the household avoided me. Unable to face the criticism against me, I ran away from home several years later. That annoying brat who left home became a mercenary. No, not just any mercenary, but a mercenary king. I survived countless battles, built up my skills, and made a name for myself. I returned to Perdium County in order to make up for my mistakes, but the place I once called home, my esteemed household, had been crushed to dust when I arrived. I had lost everything, but fate gave me another chance. It was still here. Everything I had lost was still here. The joy and excitement were so intense I could drop an album right now. Shit, I might even be Michael Jackson at this point, but I needed to calm down. It was too early to rejoice. Ah, yes, this esteemed gentleman said we were here to raid orcs. I was surprised they actually followed my instructions, considering I was reasoning with a single % of my brain powered by tomfoolery, but I still couldn't forget that day. This was the day most people in the raid squad died in my past life. I had followed through with the orc raid just to make a name for myself. The report stated there were only 3 orcs, and my ignorance for fame made me assume it would be easy enough, even for someone like me with 0 experience as a commander. But when we arrived, there were more than 20 orcs. Almost all of us ended up dying because I had been stubborn and wanted to command the squad. But this time it should be doable. Those orcs didn't seem to have strategy. The problem was whether these guys could trust me. They all thought I was a useless bastard. As the narrator, let's agree to agree. This man's past life self was a little toe rag and wasn't worth trusting. But even if you know everything that's going to happen, not everything goes the way you want. Destruction and chaos erupted as a watchtower was thrown into the camp with great force. It's the orcs! The orcs are here! The orcs charged like raging bulls, showing no signs of stopping, using brute strength to break through the defenses. I was surprised by their sudden arrival, wondering if this had also happened in my past life. They broke through the defenses and caused chaos with no sign of slowing down. Get into formation. Don't panic. Get into defense formation. It was Skoven, the raid squad commander. Soldiers were swatted away like flies before they could even get into position. Damn it. We let our guard down, getting ambushed when we weren't prepared at all. Skoven realized there were far more orcs than reported. He knew that at this rate they were all going to die. Commander! A piercing voice called out to Skoven, getting his attention. When it alerted him to look behind him, he knew he had no chance of surviving. His reaction would be too late to block or avoid the attack. A hand suddenly reached out, catching Skoven by surprise, as I pushed him out of harm's way. This shocked the raid commander. He worried inwardly as he saw me heading toward the orc's attack. I swiftly plunged my sword into the orc's hand, slicing it off with a precise cut. Skovan and the soldiers were left stunned, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. The orc couldn't even understand what had happened. Everything was too fast for it to process. Looking at my weak arm, I realized I couldn't use mana. I wished I had returned further back into the past. Walking towards Skovan, I asked if he was the commander. Then I told him to give it to me. Skovan didn't understand what I meant. I told him again. Give me the commander's authority. We see Gilsan demanding Raid Commander Skovan for the commander's authority, right? This annoyed Skovan, as Gilsan was seen as an immature idiot with childish behavior, and now he was demanding the commander's authority. Skovan walked away, denying Gilsan his demand, shocking Gilsan himself. Skovan was annoyed as he told Gilsan if he thought this was some kind of game. Even if he was the young master, he couldn't just give up the authority the Lord had given him so easily. This didn't go as Gilsan had expected, as Gilsan thought Skovan would behave the same way he did back when he was acting immature. An orc didn't give both of them time. Skovan swiftly shielded Gilsan, warning him to fall back as he would take things from there. Is this man retarded, or is he just a brave idiot? Gilsan looked at Skovan in annoyance. Guess I have no choice. Gilsan's demeanor changed as he threw his sword towards the orc. This sudden move by Gilsan made Skovan annoyed. Is it that you're trying to get yourself killed? That's a sword you swing, not throw. What's next? Use an arrow as a sword? But Skovan realized something wasn't right as he turned to see what happened to the orc that was just charging at them a moment ago. He was shocked as he saw the orc standing still, with the sword embedded in its eye. Its eyes rolled back as it took its last breath. The orc collapsed down dead. Skovan couldn't believe his own eyes, as he didn't understand how Gilsan knew the orc's weak spot. Skovan, that's your name, right? Do you know what the most important thing in battle is? There's no hope of winning a battle when the troops are filled with fear. And to change that, we need to regain momentum. As soon as Gilsan finished his words, he took off charging into battle, taking his sword from the orc's head, his figure leaving tracks of inertia as he charged into the orcs. Striking a finishing blow to one of the orcs, instantly killing it. This scene was something both the soldiers and Raid Commander Skovan couldn't believe if told. Now, you bloody brute creatures, Gilsan said, retreating his blade. Come at me, he shouted. I'll kill all of you. At that moment, Gilsan wasn't like the immature young master, but like a warlord, his nimble figure moving like the wind, dealing killing blows in an instant. Even Raid Commander Skovan couldn't believe what he was seeing, wondering if he was dreaming. Even I, as a mana user, it's hard for me to do anything. So, how is that skinny young master doing all this? By the look I can tell he is already tired. However, he is using the smallest movements to dodge attacks, and using his swordsmanship to strike their weak spots, like a manaless swordmaster. Or perhaps it's even something greater. Gilsan riled up and taunted the orcs. Is this all you got? I'm still getting warmed up, you brute monsters. You are not living up to your reputation as a warrior species. He did this, drawing the orcs' attention to himself, away from the soldiers. The soldiers noticed this and, worried for Gilsan, shouted for the commander to give a command. Skovan was still in shock, processing what was before him, wondering what Gilsan was thinking. As Skovan began to analyze the situation, he realized that Gilsan drawing the orcs' attention to himself was a good move, but he didn't understand why Gilsan was running, especially in the direction of the edge of the cliff. As a seasoned veteran, it didn't take long for Skovan to realize what was happening. Worried and tense, he didn't want to believe that what he was thinking was truly what Gilsan intended to do, and with no delay, Skovan told the troops to quickly raise their shields. We follow the first son of the Perdium, Gilsan, Skovan shouted. Gilsan was being pursued by the orcs. He was sure that Skovan would have already realized his plan, as he was a skilled commander. Gilsan would have preferred slaying the orcs himself, but he couldn't, as his stamina wouldn't be able to handle his decades of combat experiments from his past life. Even then, he knew this plan would be enough to handle the orcs. Seeing this, the orcs' attention was drawn to the troops, but the troops had already formed a shield wall, using their spears through the gaps to poke and push the orcs off the cliff. Seeing this, Gilsan was pleased, as Raid Commander Skovan was right on cue as he leaned off the cliff, leaving the rest to Raid Commander Skovan. Skovan knew it was his cue as he led the troops to push the orcs, rallying them up and taking Gilsan's words on leading with momentum. As the troops launched themselves like barbarians, their blood boiled with morale and excitement as the orcs were pushed off the cliff, sending their bodies plummeting down, crushing to their deaths. The soldiers, catching their breaths, couldn't believe they had won and killed the orcs. Skovan wasn't concerned by that as he rushed to the edge of the cliff, calling out for Gilsan. Luckily, Gilsan had used his sword as leverage, plunging it into the wall of the cliff and hanging there so as not to fall to his death. He gave an arrogant smirk to Scoven, who was relieved to see Gilsan was okay, and with a proud smirk, reached out his hand for Gilsan. But even so, Gilsan's body had reached its limit and he was exhausted, telling Scoven he couldn't hold on as he fell off the cliff. This scene made the hearts of the soldiers and Scoven drop. "Young master!" Their voices were heard as they yelled.
Many hours later.
"Appa!" A young girl's voice was heard calling out. "Elena!" Gilsan called out to the voice as memories of his past life surfaced. He recalled a sad Elena, asking if mother was gone, another fragment of Elena cheerfully thanking him, and another memory fragment of Elena with hate towards him, blaming and cursing Gilsan, asking him what his problem was. Turning to leave, she called him the worst elder brother. As Gilsan saw this memory, he began to wonder if these were his memories of Elena. Out of the blue, a hand reached out, calling, "Appa, let's go together." It was a young and timid Elena. This jolted Gilsan awake as he realized he was not at the camp. He realized he survived and they managed to save him. He wondered if it was a dream. Then all the pain and muscle aches came flowing through his body. "My entire body hurts. It must be the consequences of pushing my body to the limit." The door opened. "Young master?" A voice called for Gilsan. "You are awake." Gilsan was surprised to see who it was as he recognized her as Belinda. "Do you know how worried I was? Didn't I tell you? You should let the soldiers handle the orcs." Gilsan swiftly hugged Belinda, catching her by surprise, making her wonder what Gilsan was doing, which made her think if he had done anything wrong. "No, it's nothing like that. I'm just glad to see you, Belinda." Belinda was Gilsan's personal tutor since he was little. She was the only one who continued to stay by his side despite his idiotic behavior. But after the Perdium family fell to ruins and she went missing, Gilsan was no longer able to see her again. Gilsan never thought he would be able to see her again. "What are you so happy about when we see each other every day?" Belinda told Gilsan. Gilsan inwardly felt he needed to tell Belinda the truth. As he told Belinda to listen carefully, he warned her that a disaster would soon befall Perdium. This caught Belinda by surprise. "The truth," Gilsan became serious, "is I died and came back to life." Belinda dismissed Gilsan's words as a child's inner delusion, adding that she understood the orcs tried harming his little body. Gilsan was annoyed, as that's not what he meant. Belinda made Gilsan lie in bed, then turned and began scolding Gilsan like a mother scolding her unruly child. Gilsan knew she didn't believe him and accepted his fate. As Belinda told him what he was thinking, asking if he was hurt and still wanted to go to the festival, the reminder of the festival seemed to remind Gilsan of a bad memory. "Have you forgotten about it? Lady Elena has been waiting for the day to go with you. It will be a great chance for the two of you to become close to each other again." This made Gilsan recall there was a festival that happened during this time every year, recalling how in his past life he used to avoid such festivals due to his traumatic experiences. "How long till the festival, Belinda?" Gilsan asked. Let's see. Since it's next week, you have about a week left." Gilsan knew he had a week before the day that changed his life in his past life reached again. The door opened as a young girl's voice was heard. "Appa, are you inside?" Gilsan turned towards the door as the memory of his past life haunted him, as he remembered a young Elena with trembling tears, begging him to go with her to the festival. And he knew that on that day, Elena would meet her end and die.